Okay, we're going. We're going. Internet looks stable. Alright. Wait, let me just refresh my own stream because for some reason it just doesn't want to start for me. And there we go. And welcome to another VOD review by me, Mr. Gumby. Today we're gonna look at the very recently finished Shanghai Dragons versus LA Valiant map number 3. And the LA Valiant unironically pull out the Mei. And it worked. And today's VOD review is just going to be focused on how the hell is this comp working and why is it working. And as you can see, like, the casters were were not exactly believing what they were seeing. But yes, there's no cap. The LA Valiant pulled out the Mei. I respect it. I like compositions that are a little bit more offbeat. I don't believe the meta has been figured out completely just yet. And I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that assumption until proven completely otherwise by some professional coach. But yeah. So let's discuss the comps as per usual. So we've got the Shanghai Dragons. We're gonna use red standard opening. It's a dive, as expected from the Shanghai Dragons, right? So the Widow pick is just there for, well, picks. It's probably going to be switched to, I believe it was switched to Soldier. And it's just, again, for picks. You're looking for flanks, and yeah, you're just gonna follow up on Fate's Initiation. That is comboed with Nade. So Winston dive plus the nade, and then you've got Who Are You, who's probably pressuring someone uh, either main or on the flank, just like your Soldier 76, although not exactly in the exact same angle. So Genji spam plus follow up, right? That's the typical win condition, win procedure for the Shanghai Dragons composition. Fairly standard. But let's talk about the interesting composition of the night, which is this Mei Reaper Zarya rush. It's not, well, it is rush because there is a Lucio, so we can kind of call it rush slash. Is it brawl? I'm not 100% sure, but it is close range, so there are some brawl elements here. You need to get a pick really fast though, so well, I guess the most important bit of this composition is number one, getting good walls. So walling off the Winston dive. So you isolate the Winston and you focus him down. You wall off the backline healing. So Izayaki getting a wall on Izayaki and his nade is pretty important. And yeah, that's basically it. Um, and then of course you've got the standard Zarya Reaper shenanigans of making Reaper incredibly tanky so that he can TP to the backline. So Reaper plus Zarya pressure, either by making Reaper incredibly tanky with a bubble, or by having Reaper TP to the backline, make him incredibly tanky, get an assassination, and then, you know, there. And of course, you've got your Lucio just going for either boops, so disruption, and just generally being a little bit more flexible, because again, Lucio in this meta, in this in Overwatch 2, is basically a DPS and a support. And then you've got, of course, your Ana, who will just nade spam, or nade sleep, whoever needs to be slept, whoever needs to be naded, yada yada yada. That's basically it. But the key here for victory, at least for LA Valiant is to get a good wall and then pick someone off. Fortunately, fast reactions from the LA Val or the SHD, as I will probably call them later on, is a lot more quick. They didn't really get any picks. They back off. LA Valiant do. Also, another thing to recognize about the composition of either team is that, of course, we have dive, right? Obviously, this is dive. But for the LA Valiant, this is very much anti-dive, right? You're not gonna dive Assassin because, dude, that's just a very good way of giving him energy. Also, a very good way of getting nated or slept. You don't dive the Mei because Mei will just ice block herself, and you don't dive um, Dia on Reaper because it's a fucking Reaper. You don't. It's a very miserable target to dive because he will just wraith or recover health if it's just Fate diving him. So, and God forbid, I don't really need to explain why you can't really dive Lengsa on Lucio. And if Coldest is smart, he will just position himself in Narnia, away from the fight, but within LOS of his team. So the other logic of the LA Valiant composition is that it's very much anti-dive against a team that loves to run dive. So there's some counterplay. So the very first wall wasn't that great. It did block off their Ana for a little bit, but here's the deal: they're very split, right? I think this is more of a problem with the Shanghai Dragons than it is a problem with how, or rather how LA Valiant are playing this, because right now LA Valiant are in the back foot. They've used their very big, very important cooldown of wall. Didn't get any picks from it. It did serve to split up the SHD. So your supports are over here. They're kind of being spaced out by Azaria and initially by Dia on Reaper. And then the rest of the dragons are almost behind this fire truck. They're trying to get coldest, and they're kind of flip flopping between peeling for their supports right now because look at where they're facing. Right, they're facing this. They try to maybe shoo away Dia, or trying to go for coldest. And quite frankly, you can't really do both. You need I highly recommend, since they already got rid of the wall, they already got through the wall, to just go to coldest, but they don't do that. And instead they just okay, so they eventually go for coldest, but only Fate does, which is weird. And the rest of the LA Val or the rest of the Shanghai Dragons, I'm confusing the two teams. The rest of the Shanghai Dragons just go for Dia? I guess because there's no Wraith, but why not just focus your fire on the support? Right? It's weird, but again, diving this is very, very difficult for the Shanghai Dragons. There's just so much survivability. I mean, they got Dia, but that's all they got. So again, they need to look for a good wall on the side of LA Valiant. If you're what the hell? It won't pause. Okay, if you're the SHD, you need to bait out the wall. I don't think Fate should be jumping that far, but you need to bait the wall, survive, regroup, and then either pressure this Zarya or the Mei, who is probably in the front line. But yeah, Fate overextends, a wall is built up, it's now impossible for him to just walk on out of here. And their Ana also had to, okay, never mind, it's actually very possible because He found a small breach. He amazingly got away because I don't think there was a. Oh wait. So he jumps away. Bubbles there. Okay, so the amp heal. The amp heal. That's more than enough. Plus the nade. He also got naded. So there's just so much burst heal. That's why he survived. All right. They still got a pick though. But now that Izayaki got coldest, this is a little bit more iffy. But the wall is almost up again. Wall is up. All that Shanghai Dragons need to do right now is just tank this engage, wait for a little bit, give up some points, or ticks rather, on the point. That's a really good wall. I guess this is another reason why this Mei pick is something that the LA Valiant went to. Typically, supports will hide inside the fire station, right? DPS typically take the position of the upper floor of the fire station, right? Yeah. DPS. DPS over here. Supports over here. So by blocking this, you block, again, the LOS. So this Ana either has to go back in through main, or go upstairs, right? Meanwhile, there's a period of time where the LA Valiants are pretty much even with the Shanghai Dragons, because now the Shanghai Dragons don't really have a, they effectively don't really have an Ana that will heal them. And assuming that they focus their fire on whoever, and they cycle their cooldowns that let them survive, so cycling the Wraith, cycling the Ice Block, cycling the Bubbles, and the Amps, then yeah, they should survive. But unfortunately, ults were committed. I don't think Coldest managed to get back in time. Yeah. And they get wiped. So yeah, the Mei pick is actually fairly good on the very first point. Just because there's a lot of ways that you can just mess up the LOS of the heals, as well as just isolate somebody from the Shanghai Dragons. A little bit more questionable on the second point until we get to the bridge, which we will see in a little bit. For now, LA Valiant are positioning themselves inside. Notice that they're not really positioning themselves on this, which is the typical way. And that's because they're a very close range composition, right? So this is where the brawl aspect of this comes into play. Wherein you can't really poke and prod from over here. You need to position yourselves for a brawl and contest onto the point. So it's either in this room or you exit from here. But there's no way that you're going to be positioning yourselves over here, at least until the payload makes its way down the bridge. So far so good. LA Valiant shows that they understand what their comp can and cannot do. So now they're actually moving underneath. They recognize, okay, I don't think we can engage them from here. Instead, we're gonna go for the more annoying part and engage them from inside the tunnels. And you will see why it is incredibly annoying. It's actually very similar to holds that you do in Gibraltar. And that is that you split your team, so you've got, I guess there's one less tank, but you now have a Reaper or a DPS, one of your DPS and your supports on one side, and on this side you have your tank and I guess your Mei and your Ana. And this works because, well, again, you've got really survivable, what do you call this? Survivable DPS supports heroes in general. The only person who can't really survive that well here is the Ana. It's a huge blizzard. Oh my god, they can't really do anything about that. Exit frags. I like it. But yeah, they need to regroup real fast. Especially the Mei. The Mei needs to be here. There needs to be a Reaper at least over here. Just so that they can attack from two different angles. But that's the idea, right? The Mei just continuously contests this by walling herself off in this room and just standing right next to the wall. That will contest the point, and she's going to be really safe. And then the Reaper swings in and tries to get, um, or once the wall goes down, the Reaper tries to swing in and gets a pick. And then if that doesn't work or that fails, he rates back into this room. And then the Mei comes out and tries to go for a frag or a finish off. And then Zarya either plays somewhere with them, and then the Ana plays somewhere main, or inside the tunnel with the other DPS. The Lucio can basically go anywhere. You're scouting slash disrupting. So how do you counter this as Shanghai Dragons? You keep spamming them. You force them to use all of their cooldowns prematurely and more inefficiently. So you can do that by one lip doing this. You're spamming from different angles. Right? So you're pressuring them from afar, not really getting too much into the range, and it's either well, yeah, you have to force Fate. Fate has to push payload, right? The tank has to push. Lee Jae-gon is basically on peel duty, so you're also pushing. You're also pushing, and you're also trying to pressure the side of, or the DPS and the tanks of the LA Valiant to use their cooldowns by just, well, dinking them several times. So, yeah, head on a swivel as per usual with Lucio. And then Izayaki just needs to, he can even take the high ground over here, where typically a Winston would position themselves. And yeah, just either spam or heal, whichever is applicable, right? So I'm just writing down what they need to do, and then for the side of the LA Valiant, all you need to do is cycle cooldowns efficiently. Cooldowns, build ult. Don't take too much poke. Right? There's no real way for the Shanghai Dragons to dive them because of the geometry of where they are right now and the composition that LA Valiant have. So the best thing that they can do is just keep poking them. Just keep poking them. Maybe you can use one of your ults to force them to use a cooldown that they don't want. But yeah. Okay. So this is an example of just forcing them to use the cooldowns that they don't really want. So Fate is not really going inside because going inside is suicide, and all he needs to do really is just push him back. But unfortunately, again, this is a very difficult comp to dive or to go forward to because they're just so tanky. Also, that wall is just really unfortunate. I don't know why they didn't bring down the wall though. Got nano boost. Yeah, that's so weird. Oh well. Yeah, that's some miscommunication, and that's precisely what I was talking about, right? They weren't really cycling. They didn't cycle their cooldowns, their ults in that one that well. So they got hard punished for it. The only saving grace right now for the LA Valiant is the fact that they managed to bait out 3 ults for that one instead of just none or just one. They didn't just trade nano boost for like another ult on the opposite side. So on third point, I'm not sure how I like Mei on defense. The only way that Mei can be useful here is if, for whatever reason, Shanghai Dragons just go inside this room and stay there, and they keep poking from there. But the third point is a lot more open. There are a lot more options for the DPS and the tanks and the supports to go in and hide and spam. So a little bit questionable as to keeping the Mei here. But yeah, it's like, if you can make it work, if you still have your ults, I guess you can still keep it. It is still very much anti-dive, so I guess that's the only other, that's the valid reason as why you get to keep this. So if you're the LA Valiant and you get to control this part of the room on defense, then you might be gaming, because it's the exact same concept as the tunnel before under the bridge, right? This is an undiveable, well, not completely undiveable spot, but it's very difficult to dive. You've got, and if the payload is right over here, then a wall, a continuous wall, and then you can also send your Reaper behind, right? So okay, I mean, I can see it now. I can see now where the Mei might be good on third point, but it's very specific. It's highly specific. It's only this part. I don't see it being good over here, because this is just super open. At least on defense, right? We'll see later on attack how good the Mei is. But yeah. So they were at least able to farm ults on the side of the LA Valiant. Primal is used just to boot people away. It's an unfortunate wall. I think a better wall would have been maybe over here. Well, actually, so let's see that again. You wall like so. Okay, so there are two ways, or two walls that are pretty good here. One is right there, near the spawn, which is probably the most obvious one. The other one is actually what the innovation just did, unironically. Because right now, the Izayaki has to rotate like this, or like this. Which I guess is not that hard if Lee Jae-gon exists, but yeah. This is another way that Mei can be useful. Again, like first point, you just need to block the LOS of the Ana, so that she has no nade, she has no healing. Forces the Lucio to come closer. And forces the Ana to rotate closer. So that's another one, but yeah, I think this is a better wall. You don't... Sasin will be trapped outside, the mercy of Lee Jae-gon, Who Are You, and Zayaki, but you get to kill Fate, and without Fate, you don't... Well, I guess you're trading tanks, so both sides don't really have a lot of point presence anymore. Anyway, let's keep going. TPs to the back, gets the bubble, doesn't go for the Death Blossom because the bubble was slightly mistimed, and he TP'd way over here. He was expecting them to go forward on the side of the dragons, so just a missed opportunity. Instead, they just used the blizzard to zone people off and got a pick. Still not bad. So again, splitting up their DPS. Splitting up their DPS, baiting them to either go for Dia or go for this. Dia might be able to swing in and get a kill. If they try to dive Dia, which is, again, very bad idea. No pun intended. He just races away. The rest of the team moves forward. Maybe gets a wall over here. Gets a pick. So, not bad positioning. Again, look at this. Right? If the Winston tries to dive, automatically Innovation is just on his ass. constantly. Beat Blade gets grabbed and then comboed with the Death Blossom. Was that really necessary from the SHD? So the jump goes in. I mean, they have nano boost here. Why not just go for that? Pressure, like, hmm. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, so let's really think about this. One of the ways that you can go about it is have your soldier pressure this guy out first. So Lip goes here, tries to spam out Dia. He should be safe from spam from these guys, and Winston just shoos away the LA Valiant, right? Izayaki plays a little bit more defensive. Who are you? Keep spamming, blah blah blah. But yeah, I think number one is, well, yeah, there we go. Lucio can also help try to get rid of Dia on the flank. They kind of almost do it. Or they were kind of doing it. Which brings to question, why did Fate jump in the first place? So he's just spamming over here. Yeah, that doesn't really make any sense. I guess it was to split their attention, but if you're up against this, you're not looking to really split their attention much, because they're going to be disciplined enough to just send one DPS for you if you're just diving as a lone tank. So this doesn't really make sense to me. I think it's a mistake. Fate just takes unnecessary spam here. Yeah, they had to beat for him. Yeah, they had to beat just for him because they wanted to engage right then and there, but Fate just went in too early. Then they tried to go for attack visor nano boost, but completely useless. 3 of them are already dead. Uh oh, that's not good though. Feeding like that is not allowed. Sassen is also super low. Got saved by Coldest. Yeah, that was just a throw from Fate. That was just too aggressive of a dive. They had to expend like 5 ults. Well, 4 ults. Just to get a fight that didn't even win. In exchange for what? 3 on the side of the LAV. Man, that was bad. So this is a little bit, we're going a little bit away from why this Mei, or how this Mei works, but we already kind of discussed on how it kind of works. I still don't like it on the 3rd point. But yeah, like this at this point, it's no longer the Mei pick being the problem. It's more like how the Shanghai Dragons are playing this. It's just horrible. There we go. That's a better dive. Much better dive. Like Fate just needed to wait for his team to get into position instead of trying to split the attention of LA Valiant. So yeah, another way that the Shanghai Dragons could have played this, or played against this, is just having a Zarya comp of their own, but without a Mei. Like, just have more spam, more damage than the LA Valiant composition. Because at that point, the Mei would be pressured to actually get kills and get good walls. Like, the walls are no longer things that delay the push. They have to delay the push and also get a pick if Shanghai Dragons didn't play dive, but they're still playing dive. So, and I believe Shanghai or LA Valiant will also play this Mei on attack. And this one, I got internet problems, so I don't know how this one completely unfolded. About to find out right now. The only scenes that I was able to witness was a Mei soloing an Ana somehow in the backline. I just want to see how the innovation is managed to walk. Oh yeah, since we're already on attack, let's discuss how you're supposed to play this on attack. How are you supposed to play Mei comp? Mei Zarya Rush Brawl against Dive on Midtown on attack. Okay, so you go inside the train. I like this because this is the one. This is a place that they can't really dive that well. The problem with it is that you're out in the open after after exiting the train. So I think a better way would have been to go here. Unless the plan is to wall someone off. So as you're exiting train, you wall off, I don't know, this or something somewhere, an angle that has a great value to Shanghai Dragon. So maybe walling off the 76 so that he can't spam from afar, walling off Izayaki so that you can just walk forward without fear of nades or healing. So we'll see. But so far I like the rotation. It makes sense. Oh, okay, so that's how. They just straight up walk in. There's not even a wall. What? Dude. Yo. This is bad. What the fuck? He just straight up walks in. And no one peels. What? Where was Lee J gone? Dude. Okay, apart from the fact that no one peels for this, okay? Shanghai Dragons literally did the one thing that they shouldn't do. We're gonna see it right about here. You see them walk out, and there we go. That's the one thing that Shanghai Dragons shouldn't have done. Fate jumping into this composition. It's like death. This is just death. For Winston. Like, dude, I don't know why Lee J Gon is over here. Maybe they were expecting a Reaper TP over here, and they were trying to guard Lip, so that Lip can stay on the second floor of the fire station. But immediately he should be seeing this Mei and starting to pressure this Mei, along with Lip. If ever there's something that Fate is going to dive, it's probably going to be a very short hop onto this Mei, as miserable as that may sound, because at the very least you stop this rotation, make it awkward, right? There is a risk of getting walled, but yeah, actually, how do you counterplay the wall if you dive this? So in short, you really don't want to dive. You just stay here as Fate and keep tasing them from the stairs or at the stairs. And then Lee Jae-gon needs to immediately go here and contest this Mei. Because right now they know for a fact that the advance of the LA Valiant isn't gonna come in from the alley into the what do you call this? From the alley onto the fire station. It's just literally through main from the train down the stairs. So yeah, that was bad. This is really bad. It didn't even wall. Innovation didn't even wall this shit. It didn't wall anything. Dude, this is so bad. What the fuck happened? And of course the lucky headshot just to salt the wound. Oh my god. I mean, Lip at this point is just looking for a reset. There's no way that you win. Okay, so they're kind of staggered right now because Lip died fairly late. There should be some payload progress here. So, if you're on attack, you're running the Mei, I think you actually need to control this. You need to control this room. And by extension, you need to control that. Yeah. Oh, some slowdowns there. Yeah, I think I would have wanted the Shanghai Dragons to immediately move into this room. All of them. I guess they valued payload progress a little bit more, but I think they're better off trying to control this room and going because if they control this room, they can easily rotate onto the bridge, force the dragons off, and now it's an even fight because there's no other place that Izayaki can go to. It's a very bad like place to dive because it's a very enclosed thing. Yeah, I would have wanted LA Valiant to just rotate. I think that's a better play. It's an okay wall, but doesn't result in a kill, which is by far more important when you're on attack. Yeah, yeah, this is a very vulnerable spot for the LA Valiant. They needed to go inside the room much faster. Maybe even leave the payload, because the moment that you wipe them from the bridge, I think you just have payload progress almost to the end of the point, of second point. But yeah, they reset. The other good thing about this comp from the LA Valiant is I guess well, I can't really say that for sure, but it kind of feels like they can build ults really fast. That could also be because Fate is really aggressive and they just farm him for ults, but we'll see. Okay, this is another way that you could do it, but eh, I still think because as you saw, right, they managed to dive him. They managed to dive him as they're going up the stairs towards the bridge. This is also still viable, by the way. It's just that, again, they're up against dive. The only time that they can really dive you, despite having this relatively painful to dive comp, is on rotation. That's precisely what the Dragons did, and they also committed a blade and a nano boost for it just to make sure. The good news is that there's no exchange. They're like LA Valiant just went for a dry push. Yeah, another thing is if they're able to hold like this on the SHD, yeah, I think the one of your priorities as LA Valiant is to get rid of this monkey. Push him away. Yes, you don't really get any payload progress. You can just drop down and get that. Or you can, again, abandon it completely and try to go for the bridge. Just get him off the bridge and then go back to the payload. Or inside the room. Whichever works. I'm not sure why Lip didn't use his tack visor here. That would have been a very easy tack visor. I guess he was also worried about the wall, the beat, lots of things that can just cancel his ult for cheap, relatively cheap. Yeah, I don't know about this, but hey, they commit ults, it works. Lip couldn't really. Yeah, I think Lip should have actually used this tack visor, even if just to discourage or make the LA Valiant think twice about that engage. Oh, Lee Jae actually got the ult off, but not in time to save Fate. So how would you engage this if you're Shanghai Dragons? And beat. You're at a complete disadvantage. Uh, How would it's very difficult to win, right? Because there's four ults. You're going up against four ults. So I think you try to go for a dry push, if not just to use one ult of yours. Force the LA Valiant to at least use more than one. But right now they evenly trade. They trade beat and a DPS ult for a DP for just the same. And then Fate just tries to dive a backline that was protected by a Reaper. And Lucio and Azaria, which is just rough. Hella rough. So okay, so on attack on third point, again, same exact thing that you need to do. Just go inside the room and well, actually you need to push the payload first a little bit, right? Just to get them to this room or near this room. And then you camp inside the room. You cycle your cooldowns again, try to build ults. Now the ults are a little bit more important. And then that's it. Just cycle your cooldowns very intelligently and build your ults. And then come out of that little hidey hole with all the ults. Just press Q. If you're the Shanghai Dragons, you want to prevent them from getting to this point, or to continuously poke them until they use their cooldowns prematurely on the side of LAV. Oh no, Fate, you're gonna die. Oh my god, that shield dancing. Unfortunately, like, see that? Immediately, they go inside the thing. It's not just because Who Are You is nano boosted and blading. This is not gonna protect you that much. Okay. Then, after that, they instantly go inside the room. Try to poke from inside. Innovation is frontlining a little bit more because they're up one. Look at that. They're inside the room, using the wall. It's very difficult for Izayaki to get a nade. And also, Fate has to play to the right a little bit more, which is away from this room. Which means that maybe you can pressure out Lee Jae-gon away from the point, or away from the payload. Okay. Bubble poke. Go for the ice block. He needs help. Innovation needs help. There we go. It's perfect cycling so far from LAV. And look, they're slowly pushing them away just because Mei deals a lot of damage. Sasin has a lot of energy and deals a lot of damage. Reaper has a lot of damage as well. And they really can't kill him. They don't really have that much of an opportunity to dive. Right? They tried. They're either just too tanky or still have the cooldowns saved up for it. Where did that blizzard go? Well, anyway, it still forced them to main. And Fate tries to trade the backline, but he's alone. There's no lip to try to help finish off the kills. There's no echo. Good wall. Who Are You is the only person to resist. And this should be it. This should be it. Boom. Easy. Easy clapper. A minute and 18 for the LAV to capture the first point. And SHD, they're just forced to defend. So no change in the composition. They're not gonna stick to this Orisa. Perhaps one of the two tanks that I don't like. apart from Roadhog, at least for Owl play. I don't think they will go for a rotation into Train, just because, well, that's kind of the obvious thing now. And two, they're pressed for time, but we'll see. Oh, they are actually going for Train. Never mind. Okay. This time, the rotations come in from the SHD. DJ Gon is a little bit closer. Who are you is ready to dive. Fate is already on the stairs. But LAV used this to their advantage because the positioning of their Ana has to be that she is in line of sight of that stairway. That means that she's going to be behind this fire truck, and this little patch right here is the only part where she has sight lines of it. So by blocking it, it forces Fate to jump away back to the point. Okay. Innovation trying to look for the Ana. Doesn't quite get it. Dude, there needs to be someone with this with their Winston. Holy shit. Also, what is the purpose of this dive? What is the purpose of this dive? Coldest is where? Where is coldest? Coldest is over there. But you're going all the way up. I don't even understand what Fate is doing right now, man. But that's not the dive that you need, and that's not the only person that needs to dive. Like, who are you? He needed to dive that Ana as well. What? So, again, typical positioning for supports is inside fire station. If they position outside and you wall, obviously Izayaki's gonna be a free kill, as well as DJ Gon. And try as Lip might, I mean, Soldier pretty good at spamming, but it's not that good. Not against this one, it's just too tanky. Actually, that was another choice for Innovation to do, to wall off Lip, but I guess it's a lot more valuable to just wall off the supports and force them onto the point. So, we kind of brushed over how to defeat this composition, and it's going to be coming up soon. Mei Reaper is not very good against a mirror that just has more spam. And we're about to see it right here on the fourth map for the SHD versus LAV. LAV still keeping Innovation, running the exact same composition from Midtown. Rotates high, which is fair. Again, really good wall location, right? Now they're forced to fight on this point. But here's the problem. The moment that the wall is gone... Okay, so they still got kills. They went for the full-on engage. But yeah, there's just so much spam. The moment that the Shanghai Dragons bait them into this after the wall, sure they get a kill on, I think that was Izayaki. No, it was Lee Jae-gon. No, it was actually Void. They got a kill on Void, Lee Jae-gon manages to live. But look at the health of the LA Valiant. They're anti, they're low. And should be reconnecting real soon. Hang on. Are we back? We're back. There we go. So we pause right here. And... Okay, so as I was saying, yes, they get the pick on Void. Lee Jae-gon survives, but the most important thing here is that right now, Lip was able to trade with Coldest because they were kiting, like kiting real hard and then just spamming the living daylights out of the LA Valiant on rotation, which is where they're weakest. And then it also forces the rest of the LA Valiant to play really, really aggressive and overextend. So now they're in this nice crossfire for the Shanghai Dragons. And they're gonna get fucked. And that's basically the story of why this composition isn't that good against what is basically a mirror. Like a better mirror, I guess. And it's that, yes, there's a lot of damage, but the damage is just very much close range. It's very limited. You're outpoked by Soldier 76, and your Zarya will immediately need help. Help that it won't get, because if the 76 does his job really, really well, the enemy team would have to, or your DPS, like your Reaper, uh, your Mei, will have to use their cooldowns before they can even pressure the enemy Zarya that hard. Okay, we're still connected. Great, great, great. So there we go. Fortunately, couldn't poke that much because the angle is not that great in that one. But the moment that the fight goes here, it should be. Never mind, Lip is already dead. That's a really good wall that they can get kills from. So wait, let me advance this a little bit before we get disconnected. Because the moment that you get to more open points, I would say, it becomes really apparent that the range difference is very... The range and the damage difference is just the determining factor. Like for example this, Lip is just free to pressure. And then actually just pinch, right? The plan is to pinch from the SHD. And there's not really a lot that Innovation or Dia can do, because it's too far. Dia tries to go for a reversal, but yeah, it's not gonna work. And this is going to be the story for the rest of this. Again, it's a good composition. The LA Valiant composition is really good against dive. So that's good against dive. Versus dive. It is horrible against everything else, I think. Thing else. Why? Because you get out damaged very easily. And you get damaged very easily by things that don't rely heavily on diving. On someone diving the back line, the front line, someone. So, yeah, that is gonna be it for me for tonight. Thank you guys for watching this VOD review. Definitely going to be streaming again tomorrow, assuming that my internet is finally fixed, which I highly doubt, but one can always have some hopium. So I hope you guys found this entertaining slash educational. This has been Gumby. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. Would really appreciate that. But for me, or for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and peace out.